Hey, what's up? What's going on? This is Mark at Autobahn Academy, and welcome back to another Autobahn Academy podcast. Today, I got Jeff Gonzales, CEO of AET Automotive. You guys are in for a treat now because I want to help you guys understand how you can speed up your process and time to market when it comes to all of your advertising needs. Stay tuned. I spent the last 15 years helping car dealerships create a better business online, learning from the best in the industry. The real question is, how can I help you do better in this fast-paced environment? This podcast is here to give you the answer. Join me as I explore, learn, and share marketing strategies you can apply in your store right now. My name is Mark, and welcome to the Autobahn Academy podcast. I'm super excited to join you guys with Jeff because, in my mind, AET Automotive is a business that was much needed in the automotive space. You guys will see if you already know Jeff and his team. You already know this is amazing. I think every dealership needs a tool like this, and I'm super excited. Welcome, Jeff, to the Autobahn Academy podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Awesome. So we've been chatting for a few weeks. We already met online, and I got to know you and your business. But for anyone who doesn't know what AET Automotive is and who is Jeff Gonzales, can you tell me a little bit more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll do a quick little AET piece. So we're a SaaS product that's built for dealers. It's a self-serve tool that allows dealers to basically curate and create their own digital creative, all from one software product, and then push it out into areas like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. We're really a creative solution when it comes down to it. And a little bit about how we got here is most of our team has background in automotive and tier 3 advertising. We got our start, myself and our COO, Betsy, got our start together back in 2011. This is where we met at a small little agency here in Denver, Colorado, where we started doing Facebook ads. It was kind of new at the time, but we started working with Facebook back before Business Manager and before it's blown up to what it is today. And then both of us were there for a little while, and then we kind of departed and went separate ways. And then I found myself at a dealership here in Denver where I was doing all of their social and digital management. That's Stevens Automotive. Yeah, it's 7 rooftops, 8 rooftops, 9 brands. I forget exactly, but anyways, I then was recruited over to CK Advertising, which was previously more in Scary. For those of you who were familiar with the Haystack days, that they're the guys that created Haystack before it was acquired by Cox. But at CK, we developed our program there called Ember Social, where we worked with hundreds of dealers across the U.S., really doing a lot of their social deployments and advertising. It was your traditional tier 3 vendor agency, and it was great. We learned a lot about our about social and auto during that time frame. But towards the end of our time there, we kind of put our heads together and we were like, hey, computers can do a lot of the work that an agency does when it comes to graphic design, copywriting, building the strategies on the back end of Facebook and all of these areas that you're deploying ads into, because they're all just hard-coded strategies. And via API accesses, you can push all this information directly in. And that's where we got our start for AET. I think, what was it, October 2018, CK was acquired by Affinitive. And so we all took off there, and I flew out actually up to Seattle to meet with some of my future business partners and kind of pitch them on the idea of what AET is now today. And some of our backgrounds on the technology sides are CTO comes from a background at Microsoft and Amazon. We've got a couple folks from background at DDC up in Burlington. When all of these kind of powers combined and knowledge is basically where we then built our product and our solution, which is now AET Automotive, a self-serve creative tool that allows dealers to basically become their own agency in-house.
Yeah, that makes sense because like everywhere I go, and I've been in the last few years, I keep telling everyone, like podcast, like training and everything. Automotive is predictable, right? We already know what's going to happen. We're going to have new programs, new vehicles coming in. Gonna have to refresh our ads, create new ads as well. But this is super time consuming. I see it on my end. I see it like on so many like in so many dealerships. So this is why I think your product was like is coming in into a right market for that, because you can automate so many things and do a lot more with a lot less energy and effort for sure. And as you know, you've been in a dealership, in a dealer group as well. There are many moving parts in car dealers today, and being fast, being efficient is super important. But most of all, like putting new ads and new programs online without any errors and issues is simply key, right? So I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head, like on this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the problems that we sought to fix in this. When I was at the agency, you know, it works like a game of telephone, right? On a monthly basis, you have a account manager that handles X dealership, right? And
Mhm.
they talk to the manager or somebody at the dealership on a monthly basis to get their offers, right? What do you have in stock? What are you pushing for this month? And so they gather up all this information and then they go spit it out to the creative team, right? And then the creative team goes and they do their magic in Photoshop or Illustrator to create these images. And they're basically just offers. A
Mhm.
lot of the time, what we saw is, it takes roughly on a good month, 48 hours turnaround time for creative to get the job done. But then you got to take that creative and give it back to the dealer and say, hey, Mr. Dealer, is this creative work for you? Is this right? And during that time, maybe they changed their offer a little bit and somebody forgot to communicate it somewhere. And it could go back to creative, and then you got another 24 to 48 hours. So we're missing out on a lot of time right then and there, right? And then once approved, let's say 2 or 3 days later, then it goes back to the team over at the agency, and then they take it to the copywriters, and then give it to, let's say, a social media strategist that then goes and deploys the ads. Well, you've already lost about 5 to 7 days right there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just in that back and forth and getting all the approvals from everybody. Our system
Yeah.
can do it for you instantly. Our system houses all of the latest offers, all of the latest sales event logos. They're all hard coded with dates on the back end, so we know when a specific event is expiring. And a user can go into our platform and literally just create all of these images for, let's say, Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. They can rip out images for their website banners, and all of this creative can match each other. And then it can be deployed instantly with our hard-coded strategy. So, what we're doing is we're saving you dealers a lot of time, but they do have to put in a little bit of effort to do it. So having somebody at the dealership that can jump into our system on a monthly basis, spend 45 minutes to an hour building out ads and then deploying them, and then you're good to go for the month, right? You're not sitting there waiting for the turnaround times for all of this. It's instant. And we're finding that dealers on an average basis get into our system, the fourth, fifth of the month. They deploy their ads, and then they come back the following month and do the same thing. But they're in there once, and then they know they're good for the entire month, and you're not losing so many days on the back end.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm always a big advocate of dealers taking over pretty much everything they can under their roof, right? And control what they're doing. I think that about like BDCs, although virtual BDCs are great, but I think it's better for dealers to control what they do. And I think marketing and advertising should be included in that, because it's much easier to control the process and do a lot more with your tools if you do it yourself. Now, I understand this can be complex, but with like better tools, I think this helps a lot of dealers do everything in house where it should be. So, what's the if you had to do like a quick two or three short list, what are the main opportunities you see for dealers using AET Automotive or a tool like yours?
Yeah, yeah. The main opportunities, the ones that we push out a lot are, we've covered the first one kind of is time saving, right? That's, time
Yep.
is something that's valuable. And in an industry that turns on a monthly basis, you're getting something out there quickly is number one for sure. Cost savings is another big one. Since we're a SaaS product, we're our product or our monthly prices are so low that it's you can do all the work that you're paying your really expensive agency for pennies on the dollar comparatively. So you're saving a lot of money. But then, like you said, taking control of it in house is kind of that third piece. Is COVID kind of accelerated a lot of this, and seeing dealerships taking more interest in the time to do everything. They know what's running on a monthly basis. They know what their offers are. They have a lot more clearer lens into what's going on a monthly basis rather than just
Yep.
letting somebody else do it for them. So I mean, there's a ton of other pieces into this, but I'd say those are the top three that I can think of just off the top of my head.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm guessing a dealership that's doing a lot more in-house can go deeper. Let's say you hire out an agency and you're gonna pay for like a management fee or something like a fixed fee, but on their end, the agency will, and you and me both will understand that part. Uh, we're gonna have like a set of time or energy we can allocate to that business before we run out of money in some cases, right? So where a dealership can actually create so much more ads, so much more like do A/B testing in itself, and really help the online campaigns performance in this way. This is what I see, and I think this is one way to approach it to make sure it's really more efficient than outsourcing everything to someone who maybe doesn't know the auto business or your business as well as you. So
Yeah, and that's a great point, and probably one I could touch on and throw on that list as well is having unique creative. One of the things
hmm
that we see across
yep.
the board with the larger agencies is you get a lot of cookie cutter stuff, right?
Mhm.
You could be a dealership in um, Denver, Colorado, where I'm at, and then you look at another one, let's say in St. Paul, Minnesota, and they could be using the same creative, but there's nothing really that sets them apart. And
Mhm.
having something that's unique that speaks to your audience is key. And we call it matching the hatch, right? It's a fishing or a fly fishing term that we use. If you go fishing, you want to throw out what the fish are biting, right? Not just wing it and say, I'm going to throw this random thing out and hope I get a bite.
Mhm.
Our system allows for users to really create ads that make sense for their buying demographic. So what the biggest piece to that is like, what are people seeing visually? So if I'm a dealer here in Denver and I get palm trees in my ads, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm pissed,
Yep.
right? But if I
Yep.
see something with mountains and snow and outdoors, like what Denver is all about, or that Colorado is all about, it makes sense and it connects with me instantly. And that's the piece that you don't see a lot in all of these kind of cookie cutter ads. It's just like a picture of a Honda Civic in San Francisco, driving down the road, and it's got an offer. That doesn't really do much for me.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well. Yeah, that's for sure. And you'll see a lot of these when working with co-op, because sometimes the OEM will provide their dealers with an asset library, and everything's going to be the same. But like you said, it's all going to be pretty the same across the board. Nothing to compare and nothing to attract your dream customer, if that makes sense, in your local market. And I that's and that's a side of having two or three dealers using the same image going around, and at some point kind of blends in for the customers, whether it's online, whether it's on any site, like on the website, on Facebook, or anything else. We're in July right now, and a few weeks ago I saw your like a post you guys made on Facebook maybe, and it was about like doing a custom creative for Independence Day, and I just thought it was brilliant because you could really see how like easy it was to create like a quick ad with the the U.S. flag and like behind the car and everything. That I just thought it was really smart because this is the kind of stuff we know it's coming. You got to adjust fast as well because you still need the current offer with uh the like the current event, and Independence Day is a big one for sure, and it's on the 4th, so your turnaround time is really really quick, in this case. So I'm sure a lot of dealers missed the boat on this one just because of these things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, it's funny, July 4th is a big, sales holiday, obviously
Mm,
for
yep.
dealers. And, it's, we put that ad out there and kind of an email thing showing people exactly that piece. Cause our team goes in and we're looking months in advance. Right. And so we're uploading assets to the back end that are unique to that time of the year.
Hmm.
And, July 4th is a perfect example of, putting in, American themes to it, right? Because that's what everybody is all about for the first couple of weeks in July.
Yep.
But we also saw, it was kind of a unique time too because all of the sales events ran through like the 7th, right? And so everybody that was utilizing our system built ads in June. We saw them, at the beginning of the month, but then we saw them come back in at the end of the month and started creating stuff for just a week run for pushing out unique creative that matched a July 4th theme, but they were coming in, so quickly. And we, like our system, we get notified of everything that comes through, and we're just seeing these loads of images coming through, like basically creative refresh so that they can hit that time of the month and speak to, the sale, the holiday, and push that creative out quickly. Where if you went to like a vendor, they'd be like, okay, we'll have it back for you in 2 or 3 days. And then, it's July 4th already. And
Yeah.
maybe they're on holiday or something like that as well. And they're not, responding to anything. And then you've missed your window. So our system allows you to just get in there, create, push it, be done.
No, it's funny you say this because in the past I've seen it, but I've been guilty of that as well during like in my agency, and I'm okay sharing that because for any good reason I've been late on like putting ads online, maybe on the 8th or the 9th. That's obviously not something I want to do, and just because the back and forth, the weekends, everything happens, and then you lost like a third of the month at that point. And these are the best. Like the beginning of the month is the best because one, if you're like like faster market, you're the only one advertising because the other one are kind of stuck in the mud with their own process, right? So do you see like I'm not sure if you have that kind of data on your end, but do you see dealers working only at the beginning of the month with your tool, or are these guys coming back and creating new assets, new creatives, adjusting during the month, creating new offers that are not maybe um, exactly aligned with what the OEM is doing,
We get a mix of everything, and it really depends on the user. We have a lot of like in-house teams that use our tool,
Mhm.
and those folks are like on it all the time, right? They're
Yeah.
planning. We have a save function in our back end. We call it our media library. So folks can go in and they can get a jump on next month, right? So they can go in, right now on their downtime, like in the middle of the month, and they can start creating stuff for August. And then they just save it to their library, or they can schedule it out, ahead of time so that they know, hey, this ad's ready to go on the 1st of August and run through, September 2nd or whatever date that is. So it's really just a mix of users. There are some that are super savvy with it, but then there's everybody that's like, oh crap, I got to jump in at the 1st of the month, and they're a little late at times, but it's really just based on how close folks are with the tool. But I'd say a majority of our users are kind of in there constantly if they're utilizing it correctly. But
Okay.
they are
Okay.
also creating stuff for like fixed stops as well. We don't
Yeah.
just do retail. We have a fixed stops tool in there as well. So they're creating tire promotions, windshield wiper, coupons, stuff for organic social as well. Because any of our images, you can download the hard file or the raw file, and you can go put it anywhere that you want. So that people are putting are creative on their organic Facebook pages, on their Instagram posts. We even have a dealership that utilizes the screens that they have, or the TVs that they have in their dealership, and putting these big offers on their inside their store. We've even got one that has for all of their customers, they have like free car washes that they can come in for a year or something, and they have TVs in the car wash. So when they're driving through, they can see, hey, there's a great lease special, or they've got an oil change special, and these guys are updating this stuff on literally an every other day basis.
That's nice, because I think it opens possibilities to see like further than just the offer of the month, right? What I've been doing lately has been like I do a little bit of like group coaching with some dealers, and I've been like really going through like larger strategies than payment and OEM and co-op, like going deep on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and other ads as well, like YouTube. But I've been pushing some dealers try like to go and do service offers, because most are not comfortable with these, and I'm not sure why. Do you see like in terms of percentage, like how many dealers are currently using your tool to create after sales offers, like oil changes, and the ones you mentioned?
Yeah, so we've got about just over 300 users or accounts on our platform right now, and I'd say about half of them are pushing service offers as well. And those are the ones that are pretty savvy with it, with everything. Yeah. And that side of the house never gets a lot of love. The fixed op side of the house when it comes to.
Why is that, do you think?
Everybody's so focused. It's just traditionally been you push the cars, right? But the backside of the house is a big moneymaker for a lot of our dealers, right? And especially if they're, having trouble filling their bays or whatnot, you can utilize this tool to, build these offers instantly. But we also see a lot of folks, doing like we have a tool in our system that's called Pinpoint, and we can basically scrape a dealer's DMS and create custom audiences for them on the fly. So we see a lot of like decline services, right? People that come in for and get an oil change, but they need tires as well, but they decline that service. It can go into their database and their DMS, and then we can take that person and put it into an audience, and then we can reserve them ads, for tires. So we keep that idea fresh in their head. Now, what's the ROI on that? I'm not really sure. We haven't really dug into that kind of details, but the capabilities are there.
Yeah, but still, like just doing that, you're light years ahead of the like the mass dealerships, right? It's just creating audiences for the service department. I think like I keep asking more and more questions about this specific issue, and I realize like 95% of of car dealers are not doing that today, because like if the like let's assume your best customer is already a customer of yours and keeps going back to service, wouldn't that make sense to keep pushing new offers and try to like cut the time to revenue with these guys first, and try versus like conquest where it's hard, where it's a lot more money, I just think like social media as a tool and advertising, mostly advertising, has to be integrated in our strategies to like increase renewals, but also help you know our service customers to continue doing business with us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Getting that person that just bought a car, last month or something, or 3 months ago, and knowing that they might need an oil change here pretty soon. Being able to know that that person bought it 3 months ago, they go into this audience, and then they can be served, a $20 oil change or whatever it might be. But another thing that we're really looking at, going to start leaning into heavily, is parts as well. And let's just use this for example. Somebody buys a new Jeep Wrangler. Those things are like transformers, right? They get their stock. Let's say it's a Rubicon, and it comes, with all these great things. But man, there's so many add-ons that you can get directly from the dealer, and that's a huge profit center for the dealership.
Oh, yeah.
So knowing that, hey, Mark just bought himself a 2021 Rubicon. I'm going to start serving him ads for, new bumpers or tire, larger tires or lift kits or something like that, that's approved by the OEM, so that, they can bring their car back and get, whatever they want put on. And that's such a big side that people miss these days. But it kind of falls in line with that service piece of like, yeah, come back for service, but also come back for that great new, bumper that you've been looking at.
Yeah, you could source another clientele that way as well. It's sometimes I think there's a lot of moving parts in dealers today, so that I know these guys, they got to choose at some point what they want to do. But also speaking with a lot of dealers too, it's sometimes they're just not sure how to approach, how to push a message, or mostly how to push an offer. And this how just like you said right now, it makes a lot of sense and it's easy to do, right? And you could pretty much set it and forget it, if that makes sense, because it's if you want to push parts for a Wrangler or a pickup truck, it's pretty much evergreen, unless you go really specific on a really specific part. But you it's easier.
Yeah, 100%. And like, dealers, whenever I was at an agency, we'd talk to our dealers, and they'd have all these wild ideas, right?
Yeah.
And usually they're all great, but it's like, all right, we got to work within budget constraints and all this stuff. But with our tool, it kind of opens it up for creativity, right? Like, let's say I've put out all my retail offers, and I've still got, a couple $1,000s left in budget that I can push for the month. I can go in there and start getting creative and, pushing these, retargeted ads for parts or service or something like that. So if you can dream it up for automotive, our system can probably handle it. And one part about us is we're super nimble, and we listen to the feedback from our dealers, and that's what's made our product so better and better since we launched it. Is a dealer will come to us and be like, hey Jeff, I love the tool, but I wish it could do this, or I wish it could do that. And we look at it and like, hey, that is a great idea. And, why didn't we think of it? Well, it's because we're not utilizing the tool in-house, right? These guys are coming up with all these ideas on the fly on how to use it. And so we'll take that idea back to engineering and be like, hey, engineering, like this tool, or these guys came up with this great idea. We should build this in. And then we just throw that into our workflow for, the following month. And we create that and then give it to our dealers. Cause that's, if we're going to stay relevant and keep our product fresh, unique, and something new, we've always got to be developing. And, that's why we really listen to our dealers and their feedback. And a lot of the tools that we've created over the last, 6 months have been feedback from our users.
Yeah, and I can attest to that because I can't remember the first time I spoke to Andrew, but it's maybe like 4 months ago, like maybe up to six, I don't know. But um I've seen the tool grow already. Like a few things you were not doing at first, but now you're like I've seen the tool obviously, but I just think it's super great that you guys are adapting to the market and seeing, like, listening to your clients and adding some stuff, like just like the tool you guys have with Facebook. We brushed up on the inventory ads as well um, earlier. Can you take a few minutes to explain what's the issue with Facebook Marketplace right now? What's the opportunity dealers have and will have in the next few months when things change?
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody knows, marketplace is being pulled back from dealers as a free place to list their cars. So inventory ads are kind of the hot, or AIA, so automotive inventory ads are kind of the hot topic right now. And dealers are kind of pushing more towards that. And we just introduced our inventory studio tool. We actually released it the same day that Facebook and Apple were having all their major issues. So it caused some API breakages at first, but yeah, we got that all figured out. But anyways, we work with a dealer to bring in their inventory, right? It's not an easy process. A lot of agencies will go in there and they'll create the feeds for you, and you're kind of latched to that agency, right? Because they have all your information.
Mhm.
We're kind of like we look at it in a different way. Whenever we work with a dealer, we encourage them to have their own Facebook business managers, create their own catalogs for AIA. And then during our onboarding process, we work with the dealer to get their feed set up and pushed the right way and set their pixels up the right way so that it's all owned by them. And then we basically help them transfer their inventory into their catalog, and then our system connects with it. And folks can then go into our system that's a more user-friendly version of Facebook's catalogs to be able to create these AIA ads. And our system takes a kind of a different approach to it as well. We're a creative tool at heart, so we give our users the ability to manipulate some of the creative in their ads by dropping in Y buys or dealership logos, but most importantly, sales event logos, because a lot of the times when you see AIA ads out there, they don't have, let's say, a CPO logo on it, and I can't co-op it now because the dealer's looking for that, certified pre-owned logo. Our system allows you to drop that on there instantly, and then basically create your ad with all of the appropriate creative assets and then deploy it. So we've taken the idea of AIA and just enhanced it a little bit. It's, we're not trying to reinvent anything. We just want to give dealers a little bit better experience in creating and deploying these types of ads.
No, that's super good because if I'm not mistaken, the marketplace, like Facebook, will still allow you to upload your vehicles, but not syndicate your whole inventory. Is that correct? Yeah, one by one. So, well, right now, if you have like eight vehicles on the lot, it might not be that bad. But once you're back to 200 and 300, I mean, it doesn't make sense anymore. Times 24 pictures, and then you've done it already on other platforms, right? So it doesn't make sense. Obviously, I'm guessing I didn't speak to anyone on at Facebook for that matter, but I'm guessing the growth and revenue opportunity is better for them since you're paying for ads, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
definitely. I think, if I were Facebook, I probably would have done the same thing. And I guess we all could have predicted this as, they give you a really cool tool but it's not a revenue generating tool for Facebook. So they get everybody excited about it, utilizing it, and they, pull the plug and say, hey, we want those ad dollars in here.
yeah.
And then it's, dealers are scrambling to figure out the solutions, which is,
Yeah.
I guess this is all, evolution of products, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say you got to adapt, right, in this market because you're like it just reminds us, it keeps reminding us that you cannot rely on one single source to run your business. Let's say I spoke to a couple of Chrysler dealers recently, and like Facebook Marketplace was their number one source of used car leads. But now they got to adapt and they got to switch how they are going to do things in a few months from now. and they're a little bit scared, to be honest. And I feel for them because they were relying on this source so much versus Auto Trader and other like sources like these. So um and now they got to find a way, and they're like nothing's guaranteed on how AIA is going to work for them, because it's not the same. Like, you're not asking someone to search for a vehicle, you're presenting, like, Facebook is showing them vehicles that might be interesting to them, right? It's a whole different approach.
Yep, totally. And I don't know if you know this, but AET stands for Adapt, Evolve, Transcend.
No,
And
no, right? Okay.
that's kind of like what we've always with this product is like, let's adapt to a market, let's evolve it, and then let's transcend the idea to the next level. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's I'm sure we're going to see constant changes in all these products, and we're
Oh
trying
yeah.
to keep up with everything. And but that's what we're here for the dealers is we'll do the heavy lifting, right? We'll set up the strategies, we'll make sure all the stuff works for you. All you got to do is go in and create something and push it out there. But we want to make the easy button for a dealer to be able to do this. And there's going to be other products that come out, maybe not even with Facebook, but I know Google's got a new inventory product that we're kind of waiting for that beta to jump into, that we can take in the idea of inventory and scale it out to other areas. Because I think the most successful dealers that are out there are not just utilizing one product or one area to deploy ads, but a number of things. And to be honest, the ones that are the most successful are the ones that try a lot. We
Yeah.
talk about failures and stuff. Is there's never a fail in auto in marketing. It's, did that work? No. Okay, let's move on to the next one and try something else. But every market is different. You hear a lot of the people in this industry talking about, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, but really, it might work for those guys, but it might not work for you. So you got to, kind of throw in a whole mix of stuff and see what works, and then stick
Yeah.
with that and stick with that strategy. And that's, we want to be able to give these dealers, a whole layer of strategies that they can use.
Yeah, I think dealers who stay nimble will profit from these events, because while others are like scrambling to find a way, a solution, just like you said, if you do things, you fail and you test, you learn from that, obviously, and then you could adapt really, really fast, or faster than your competitor. Like, for me, I failed at so many things, like marketing wise and sales wise. um, this is the only reason at some point I can have success what I'm doing right now and what works. And I'm still failing a lot of things, but I encourage dealers to go through that path, even if it hurts at some point. But it got to make sense in the end, and you got to keep like pushing the envelope and trying to learn what works in your market for your brand. And then, because just like you said, you can't copy everyone around you and expect the same results. They could be better, they could be worse, but like, even worse than that, you could just not know why it's working, or not know why it's not working. So,
Yeah,
um,
I think that you said it well. Like, I mean, there's no real failures in this. It's just if you're not looking at it as a learning opportunity, then maybe it is a failure, right? But if you can learn from
mhm,
anything that you push out there, and we pushed a lot of Snapchat for a long time, and we still are, but Snapchat doesn't really work for a lot of dealers in every market, right? You have to
mhm.
have big, large market, a major metropolitan area, and then
Yeah,
you
it's
can
major brands. Yeah,
you can start seeing some good ROI off of that, off of those, because you're focusing on a small demographic. But we've pushed Snapchat to dealers that it's been a failure, right? And
mhm,
it's, but we go to them, and our tool on the back end actually connects with a dealer CRM, so we can show sales and matchback reports and all that stuff. And then
yeah,
we can dive into the data. And look at the age ranges of folks that are looking at their ads and interacting with them. And so we can say, Mr. Dealer, hey, that let's say 20 to 34-year-old audience on Snapchat just really didn't resonate with your ads. Maybe
mhm,
we should, we'd recommend you should push into, Facebook or Google or something like that. But it's learning from your experiences and trying them. And then we have others that are super successful with Snap and constantly use it on a monthly basis. We have dealers in Austin that, they utilize our tool mainly for Snapchat, and they have full access to everything, but they're pushing most of their ads into Snapchat because it works, because they're in Austin, right? It's a young area, and folks are resonating with those the ads in that from that platform.
Yeah, and you know what? You're talking about Snap, but it might just help you at some point if you ever try to crack the code on TikTok, because I know a lot of dealers in automotive is trying to crack the TikTok code, and because the reach is astronomical, but like as a dealership in a local market, it's really hard to see how and why to interact with TikTok users, right? So,
Totally. And that's why we kind of leaned into Snap is, dealers are always looking for a new edge, right?
mhm,
And gaining new, potential clients. And these younger
yeah,
platforms like Snapchat and TikTok are where these younger, the younger generation are these days. And we pushed into Snapchat heavily because they have an open API and we can build on it. TikTok actually doesn't have their marketing right now, from the last I looked, and this could have changed. Um,
pretty close, yeah.
yeah, they haven't built an open platform for localized marketing. It's only like, if I was Toyota wanting to go in there and do a mass, all of the
Yeah,
US. I
super
think
high level right now. Yeah.
exactly. And hopefully, when TikTok opens up the localized capabilities, we'll jump on that in a heartbeat, because it's another area for dealers to capture a younger buying demographic.
Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of TikTok, like obviously now Instagram and Facebook now have Reels, and I think that might be the play if you want to test something and still push to a specific demographic, because you could do like some kind of Reel, the equivalent of a TikTok, but like push it to a specific audience in terms of an ad. So if you want to test some kind of content, I still think ads are the best way to go, because it's so much faster than organic content.
Oh,
That makes
totally.
sense.
Yeah, and you bring up a good piece that I wanted to elaborate on as well, as future pieces that we're working on are animations, right? And being able to create simple video in our platform, and we have it kind of scheduled out for Q4 product release,
Hmm.
but being able to create simple animations with our ads as well, where visually it looks like an offer, but I can make the sky move in the background, or I can make a car fly in from the left hand side, or make it look like it's driving. Little things like that we want to build into the platform so that we can be a lot more relevant, because video is, honestly, it's what everybody's doing. It's a good,
Yeah.
it's where we're not yet, but we're going to be in the future, because video, we opened up video for a long time, and dealers were just like uploading their own like commercials, right? And then they'd come back to us and they're like, hey, these ads suck. They're not doing well. It's like, well, you can't put a commercial of, a 35
Yeah.
second commercial on Facebook and expect people to resonate with it. So we pulled back that access to our users, because we didn't want them to think it was our platform that was failing them. But on the back end, we're thinking like, okay, if we open up our studios for animation in short bumper style animated ads, that will resonate a lot better. They'll get better view through rates. They'll, have better, you know, folks will interact with that a lot better, rather than seeing a 30-second commercial with somebody screaming at you about their sale.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been like through Autobahn Academy, I've been advising and like doing some content over what is called intent based marketing. So, in a nutshell, you're just looking at what someone is doing and presenting different ads to these people depending on their actions. And one quick hack on Facebook, and the way you might be able to do it with your ads in Q4 and forward, just if you take some, like Facebook loves video right now, okay? It gets people engaged, they'll push your ads dollar a lot further than if you go to images. That's a fact. So you got to play with these. But you can also have someone watch a video for 15 seconds or 50% of the ad and see and take them to a different audience because they're engaged. If I show a video to 100,000 people and 1,000 people watch the whole video, I can assume these guys might be interested in what I have to offer. So how can I remarket an ad or specific offers to these guys, you can do it like you can do it all with Facebook and Instagram right now. So I'm guessing you guys like attacking video will help your clients be able to do just that. So that's great.
Yeah, 100%. And like, these audiences are super simple to create on the backside of
Hmm.
Facebook of like, it's like an engagement audience is,
Yep.
it's what they call it in Facebook. So we can set up parameters for, folks that have watched my video for 5 seconds, for 15 seconds, place those guys into their audience, and then you can activate those audiences then to more of a hard push offer of like, an actual lease for something that they, a video that they just watched about your dealership or a specific vehicle or something. So yeah, these are all pieces that are super, super powerful.
Yep. So it's a faster to put live, easier to optimize as well. You can like in some way reduce your budget or increase your target market. So I think that's great. Is there anything you'd like to brush up on before we switch gear to the next segment? I got a few more questions for you, but it's a little bit less about the product. Is there anything you wanted me to ask you and I didn't actually?
No. Well, I guess the pieces that I'd like to talk or throw in there is we're not just just for Facebook and Snapchat. In our in and inventory, we also have an email tool built into our system as well that allows
Nice.
users to take any kind of creative that they've made. They put it in. We have built out templates for them for just about every kind of use case. And then you can basically drag and drop any creative that they've done into this. And then we actually do the heavy lifting by allowing a user, once they've completed their template for their email, to basically rip out the HTML and then embed it into their CRM. And then they deploy their email from there. So
It's
again,
amazing.
yeah, we're not doing deployments on that side, but we're doing the heavy lifting for the code and the creative, because that's, again, at our heart, we're a creative company. So I think that's really the only piece that we didn't really.
That's good. I'm obviously a big fan of email marketing, and email is not dead. You just have to use it correctly, and if you know what you're doing, it's actually a super powerful tool. And
I've
but
seen a big, we've seen a big resurgence of email again lately. I mean, over the last like 5 or 6 months, people have been, utilizing the crap out of our email tools, and we built it as like a product that one of our dealers asked for, and we're like, hey, yeah, we could probably build that, and it's been one of our most popular products, to be honest.
well, it kind of makes sense because if you paid, I don't know, $40, $80, $100 for each lead you gathered in your database, and in the end you got 20,000 people in your DB, kind of makes sense to attack them first, right? And see what you can do to help them, not push, like not be solely 100% promotional about it because this doesn't work. There's a few ways to attack, like to approach the problem and see how you can help your customers. And through email, I think it's a great way to do it. But then again, you got to know a little bit what you're doing. Otherwise, it's not going to work and you're going to be discouraged. And I think just great content and just great layouts, like, some kind of a structure kind of works too because it speeds up the process. It's easy to fall into the trap where it takes you like 15 minutes to write one email and or more, and when you have to push a sale or push an event and you got thousands of these guys and you want to do a mass mailing, I think just standardizing something that's really clean and ready to go, it's the way to go. So
Yeah, I agree 100%, and it gives variety into our platform as well.
mhm.
Like, you can do social, you can do email, you can do your inventory, and we've even had folks that are utilizing our creative for mailers as well. And it's something that we never thought of. Well, we had
Yeah,
thought
why
about
not?
it, but
Yeah.
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 But when we talk to like mailing companies, they're like, oh no, we need this DPI, to be, this resolution isn't enough for us. But we have one of our dealers that it's like, oh yeah, I piece together utilizing all your creative, and then I take it to the print house, and they do it. They take care of the rest. So our
Nice.
creative can be used in so many different areas.
That's great. So let's switch over to the fire round. So basically, I'll ask you a couple of questions with short answers. So what's one thing you wish you'd have known before you started in the automotive business?
Um, it's all built on relationships, right?
Okay.
And I wish that I had paid a little bit more attention when I was at our agency and kind of, or the agency before this, of like really building great bigger relationships and more first the first name relationship. Because now that we own our own products now, it's like, oh, hey, what was that guy's name over at XYZ Automotive?
Mhm.
We used to work with them. They loved us. And automotive is a good old boys and gals club, and you gotta, some of the best ways to get build relationships and build a business is through our relationships. And people talk about our products all the time, and but it's people. The people that really tried us out at the very beginning when we were just a baby little company were those relationships. And it's like the close ones that I had back then. I just wish I had made more of those really personal ones.
Yeah, that's actually great advice. That makes sense. It's really a network game in the automotive space. It's such a big industry, but it's very small also.
Yep.
Um,
And there's a lot of there's a lot of people out there that are giving great advice, and there's a lot of people out there that are getting paid to give certain types of advice.
yeah,
But having that network of people that is great, because those people talk a lot, and they
yeah,
talk about 20 groups, and they talk to you. They talk about you at Digital Dealer or NADA or any of these other these things that
mhm.
everybody goes to, and that's if I had built up my personal relationships with some of these guys, I think it would have made our product grow a little bit faster than it has.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's always hindsight 2020. It's always easier to go back and see, but I'm always curious of we the things we learn over time in this industry. It's really like a really unique industry, I think, and learning from our past sometimes helps us like grow our tools, grow our businesses as well, and it applies to dealerships as well. So in that vein, uh, what was might be at AET or outside of AET Automotive, what's been your biggest failure so far in this business?
So I'm going to kind of attack that in two different ways, I guess. Before starting this, I don't feel like I took failure as more of like a, oh crap, that failed, and kind of beat yourself down. But
Yeah.
really what I was doing, and I didn't really realize it, but I was learning from these experiences. Before I was ever in automotive, I was back at the first agency. Andrew and I created a company that we started doing kind of short sales on hotel rooms and kind of touristy places.
Yep.
It was a really great idea. We built a really cool product, but we failed at really getting it to scale.
Yeah, it's a two-sided marketplace at some point. These are hard.
We did it the wrong way. We were like, oh, hey, we got to go get capital. We got to do this and we got to do that. Where starting a business, sometimes you don't necessarily need capital, right? You just need great minds, right? And when we started this company, we took some of our failures from that company and brought those, building our tech in-house and not outsourcing anything. That was a big one, because then we can control it. We don't have to pay for it. We do by, with owners in the company, and it's more of like sweat equity. But, taking past failures and learning from them to build something else for the future, I think, is one of the biggest lessons I've learned in business. And you don't have to believe what everybody else tells you out there. Go at it the way that you feel is right. Stick with your gut instincts that tell you is right or wrong. So
Yeah. That's great. I'm sure a lot of dealer operators can relate to that as well, because we got a lot of people in our industry which were born in this, like in automotive, and some were not. Some came from different backgrounds and just wanted to like own a dealership at some point because it could be a dream, right? So
ours are great, man. I'll tell you what.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like my background. I fell in automotive. I was a ski bum for 5 years. I lived up in Summit County in Breckenridge, Colorado, and I skied, and that's where I actually learned about social media marketing, was doing these short sales of hotel rooms, last minute inventory that would sit empty if not used, and we pushed it through social media, and then decided to create that company. So, but then found ourselves in automotive, and it's been a blessing. I'll tell you that.
It's nice because I'm sure you can draw some conclusions or things you learn you can apply to automotive, which might not be the case from some other people in its industry, right? We always have our own how do you say these like experience, and we bring it to the table. And I like how you can bring something that's not automotive to automotive and have like giving it a different twist, and try to change what we've been doing for so long in this industry. So, um, in your perspective, like working with your clients and your team, what sets apart successful from um, successful dealerships from those who fail at uh, doing great marketing or advertising their new offers?
Yeah, I'd say it's trying everything once, right? And trying all these different mediums. I remember, when we first started doing social at CK Advertising, we'd get on calls and we'd really have to convince people to try Facebook. And then the ones that did saw a huge amount of success in it, and then they started pouring ad dollars into it. So try everything. Don't listen to, there's a lot of great advice out there. There's a lot of crappy advice out there. Get in there and try to make your own moves and create your own, marketing plans and everything like that based off of what you feel is right. So, the most successful dealers that I've seen, they try a little bit of everything, and sometimes it doesn't work, but that goes back to the failure piece and learn from it.
That does. So now this segment is called the Autobahn 5. Okay, so this is 5 questions I ask all my guests, and it's really about you, a little bit less about your company, but I want to get people to know you. So who's your mentor or model in your personal life? Who's been influential to you?
I'll say my father-in-law, and he's been very influential in helping us guide this company. He has background of
Nice.
he was like a CFO. And any kind of moves that we make, I always kind of send him a note. Is like, hey, Dan, you want to take a peek at this really quick? Let's make sure that we're doing this right. But he's been super influential. And then, my family as well. I had my first kid whenever we were starting this business, and my wife thought we were absolutely insane for starting a business off of a wild idea. And it's starting to get to the point where we're seeing the fruits of the labor. But my wife has been super influential and positive about what we've done,
That's
and
great.
being able to bootstrap this company, and took a little piece of our life to get there, and some happy and unpleasant times. But
Yeah, it, it's for sure super important to have. It's not essential, but it's super important to have some support in your like with your family and close friends, right? Especially family, because they're the ones dealing with you day in and day out. So it's super key. So props to them for supporting you through those times, because it might seem easy and all set now, but I'm sure at some point you had some doubts. So that's super great. So okay, so what if AET didn't hadn't work out? What would you do if you could do anything aside of what you're doing right now?
yeah, I think I'd move back to the mountains and be a ski bum again.
Good answer.
Yeah,
Good answer.
it was it was a very fun time in my life, and but there's a plethora of things that you can do up in the mountains, work wise, and they're all fun for a long time, and I think I would love to do that again, and hopefully someday we'll get to.
Nice. What's like in terms of books? I don't know if you read, but what's your favorite business related book?
I read a lot. Well, actually, I have a very large library of Audible books.
Nice.
But one that I've read the most or listened to the most and actually read as well as 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Hmm.
Um, the guy's got such a unique vision on how to build business, a view of the future. Definitely my favorite book.
That's a staple for sure, especially amongst, I think, B2B and SaaS business owners. I'm not sure a lot of dealers know this book. Maybe they do, and I don't. But I think still, I think it's relevant to any car dealerships today. And like just in terms of approaching things, because we're in an era where there's a big shift coming and happening. I must say, amongst like OEMs trying to take a share of the market maybe, and with like virtual showrooms and everything. And I think a dealership must turn to the digital era and try to approach things as a startup. But that's just me. But there's a lot of things to be learned in that book for sure for car dealers.
The biggest takeaway that I've found in that piece, and he talks a ton about it, is don't build for now, but build for the future, right? And you said it correctly. There's a lot of shifts happening in our industry right now, a lot. And dealerships, or the car buying experience for when my daughter is 16 and she's about to be 2 years old right now, is going to look totally different than it was when I got my first car, right?
Yeah.
But building for technology for the future is what's going to set yourself apart for somebody that's building somebody else that's just building something to play catch up of an idea that somebody else had. It's you take something and you make it better, and that's building it for the future, and do something that nobody else has done. And that's what we really tried to create with AET, and I think that we've been pretty successful with it so far.
That's good. But it's where I think it's not easy to innovate in any market. You got to be ahead of the wave, but not too much, because at that point you have to you have to educate your potential customers, right? Just like you were at CK, you were educating. Yeah, that's at CK, right? CK Media. You were educating people to go on Facebook. So most of your time was probably about Facebook and not what you guys were doing yourselves. This is super hard, and it's like going back to dealers maybe a few years ago. It's just like they tried to push electric vehicles to everyone. Like when the mass adoption has not hit yet, it's super hard. So I think you guys are right in there in the sweet spot, just providing a dealership with a tool that's comprehensible and easy to use. So so that's for business related book. And what would be your favorite marketing slash sales marketing? Marketing slash sales book.
This one's another one that probably a lot have read, or if you haven't, definitely do it if you're in sales. But Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah,
he was like a hostage negotiator for the longest time, and he takes all of the skills that he learned there and kind of applies it to kind of business. And there's so many like little tips and tricks and emails. His email tip is like the best one. We use it all the time for like a client or a potential like client that's gone dark on us, of have you lost interest ? Or have you lost interest in this product, or have your ideals shifted? Just one quick answer, and I'll tell you what, we get a 95% close rate off of that, to like somebody that's been just on the edge of closing for us.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Audible version is Chris Voss himself. No, yeah, I got it last year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the delivery is really good. Because he actually obviously knows how to speak, and and you can really feel the stories he's going through. So that's a great book for sure. So we're approaching the end. So I'm super glad we had a chance to connect today. And obviously, I had a few ideas for you. Hopefully, we can make it work. And meanwhile, if anyone that's listening or watching this wants to get in touch with you guys and see the tool and ask questions, where should they go?
Yeah, so our website has a ton of information on it. That's just aetautomotive.com. At the top of it, you can actually test out our tool. We have a very simplified version of it. At the very top, it there's a drop down that has a couple of OEMs in it and says "Get Creative." You can click on there and actually, play with the tools and see how easy it is to use. And it's really just our Creative Studio product, which is kind of our core piece. So definitely the website. You can email me as well. It's real simple. It's almost so simple. It's just jeff@aetautomotive.com. That's another place. And then we're pretty active on LinkedIn as well. So just find me there and feel free to ask any of our questions or pick apart our product. We love all opinions.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I'm looking forward seeing the next steps in your tools, because I know you guys are working hard to improve it. So thank you again for coming on to the Autobahn Academy podcast. It was a pleasure to meet you.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you.